Yes, once again, welcome to Dallas Cowboys headquarters. The Dallas Cowboys suffered another painful loss, firing of the 34-17 at home to the Los Angeles Chargers in Week 16. This loss was not just another mark in the loss column. It was the final confirmation that Cowboys' playoff hopes are officially over. The season is slipping away, and now all eyes are turning toward 2026 NFL Draft. Today we are going to break everything down slowly and clearly. We'll talk about what went wrong against the Chargers. We'll talk about the late season collapse, and we will talk about draft positioning, what it means to sit at pick numbers 13, or why Cowboys fans might actually find a small silver lining in all this pain. This is a deep analysis about the Dallas Cowboys season. Let us start with the game itself. Dallas Cowboys hosted the Los Angeles Chargers in what was supposed to be the must-win game. Instead, it became another embarrassing performance in front of the home crowd. From the opening kickoff, the Cowboys looked flat. The offense struggled to find rhythm, and the defense once again failed to make key stops. And as the game went on, it became clear that Chargers were the more prepared, more disciplined, and more physical team. The final score was 34-17. Tells a part of the story, but the real issue was how the Cowboys lost. They did not lose because of one bad play. They lost because of the repeated mistakes, poor executions, and lack of the urgency. This has become a pattern late in the season. When the pressure increases, the Cowboys seems to fall apart instead of rising to the challenges. This loss extended the Cowboys' losing streak to the 3 games. By the time Week 16 arrived, the team had already seen its playoff hopes disappear early in the weekend. That alone should have sparked urgency. Instead, the Cowboys looked like a team already thinking about the offseason. Late in the season, great teams usually find their identity. The Cowboys, unfortunately, have lost theirs. Officially, there is no consistency. One drive looks sharp, and the next drive completely falls apart. Defensively, the problems are even more obvious. There is a vital pressure on the quarterback, missed tackles in the space, and confusion on coverage. When you watch this team line up, it does not look like a group breeding toward something. It looks like a group trying to survive until the end of the season. This is a harsh truth, but it is a honest one. Now let's talk about on the part of the Cowboys fans may not want to hear, but need to hear. The silver lining from this loss is a draft position. After Week 16 loss, the Dallas Cowboys are now sitting with the number 13 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. In addition to that, thanks to Green Bay Packers losing to the Chicago Bears in overtime, the Cowboys' second first-round pick has moved to number 21 overall. That means the Cowboys currently hold 2 first-round picks inside the top 21. In a season full of disappointments, that is matters. The difference between drafting in the 20s and drafting in early teens is massive. At pick 13, the Cowboys will be in a position to select a true impact player. We are talking about elite defensive prospect. We are talking about potential franchise cornerbacks, edge rushers, and dominant interior defensive linemen. This is the range where teams find players who can change the games immediately. The Cowboys desperately needs to help on the defense. The numbers show it, the eye test confirms it, and the front office knows it. This draft position gives Dallas a chance to reset part of the roster without having to trade up or overpay. One of the biggest takeaways from this situation is that the Cowboys should strongly consider using both first-round picks on the defense. This defense has not just been bad, it has been unreliable. There is no consistent pass rusher. There is a breakdown in the secondary. There is a lack of physicality against the run. These problems cannot be fixed with one player. The idea of the doubling dipping on the defense means selecting two defensive players early and building a foundation for the future. That is exactly what successful franchises do when their defense collapses. If the Cowboys are serious about returning to the contentions, the 2026 NFL Draft must be defense-focused. The Cowboys will finish the season with divisional games against the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants. These games may not matter for the playoffs, but they matter for evaluation. They matter for the coaches fighting to keep their jobs. They matter for the players trying to prove they belong to the roster next season. They matter for the draft position and pride. Ironically, if the draft will held today, the New York Giants would hold the number one over pick. That shows how quickly things can change in this league. Looking at full draft order, the Cowboys sit in the middle of the first round, surrounded by the teams in the different stages of the rebuilding. Teams like Giants, Raiders, and the Browns are at the very top. Others like Chiefs and Ravens are still competing despite drafting later. The Cowboys are stuck in the between, not bad enough to full rebuild, not good enough to compete. That is the most dangerous place to be in the NFL. This draft will put enormous pressure on the Cowboys front office. Every pick will be scrutinized. Every decision will be questioned. Cowboys fans are tired of the hearing about potential. They want results, they want accountability, and they want a clean plan. If the Cowboys miss on these three picks, it could set the franchise back several more years. This loss to the Chargers was painful, but it was also revealing. It showed who the Cowboys are right now. It showed what they are missing, and it showed why the future must be rebuilt carefully. The 2026 NFL Draft is no longer just important, it is critical. And as Cowboys Nation and Cowboys fan in the Dallas Cowboys history, the Chargers game exposed everything. Let us start with the Chargers game itself. The Cowboys offense did its jobs. They moved the ball, they scored points, they stayed competitive. In today's National Football League, if your offense scored 28 points, you should be in the position to win most games. But the Cowboys defense once again failed. They failed to stop the run. They failed to pressure the quarterback. They failed to create turnovers. And they failed on the third down. But also they failed in the red zone. Most importantly, they failed when the game matters the most. Justin Herbert was comfortable. The Chargers' offense was calm. There was no fear. There was confusions, disruptions. This is unacceptable. This is not a one-game problem for the Cowboys. This is not just about the Chargers game. It is happening all the season games. The Cowboys are on the pace to become one of the worst defensive units in franchise history. It is not exaggerations. It is not an emotional. It is statistically reality. Week after week, the same problem appear. No pass rush, soft coverage, missed tackles, poor communication, zero adjustments. Good defenses evolve during a season. This defense is getting worse. That fires directly on the defensive coordinator. What does defensive coordinator do? Let us be very clear about the responsibilities. The defensive coordinator is responsible for the scheme, play calling, player positioning, in-game adjustment, and situational football. Matt Eberflus is failing in every single one of those areas. Players look confused. Linebackers are about the position. The defensive backs are playing 10 yards off on the third and short. Pass rushes are being neutralized by the simple protection scheme. That is coaching failure. The lack of the adjustment is the most damaging part. The most alarming issue is not a talent. Cowboys have talent on the defense. The real problem is not adjustment. Opposing teams identify weakness early, and the Cowboys do nothing to counter. If the run is killing them, nothing changes. If closing routes are wide open, nothing changes. If quarterbacks have all day to throw, nothing changes. This is one of the cleanest signs that a defensive coordinator has lost the control of his system. Good defense creates moments, they forces turnovers, they get sacked on the third down, they make goal line stones, and they change momentum. This Cowboys defense does none of that. There is no fear factor, there is no choice, there is no identity. Opposing quarterbacks looks relaxed. Opposing the offensive coordinators looks confident. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for the franchise that once parried itself. The offensive is being wasted. This may be the most frustrating part of all. The Cowboys' offense is averaging 28 points per game, as we said. That should be enough. Dak Prescott is doing his job. The offensive line is competing. The receivers are producing, but yet none of these matters because of the defense cannot hold a lead or get a stop. This is how season die. Jerry Jones comments after the game versus Chargers. After the Chargers game, Jerry Jones said he would not fire Matt Eberflus mid-season. That statement disappointed many fans. However, Jerry followed it with something very important. He said, "I might not coach it as difficult. Evaluating him is something we have to do." That is Jerry Jones speaking carefully. This is Jerry Jones, signing changes without saying it directly. What does Jerry Jones really mean? Jerry Jones does not like to admit mistakes publicly, but when he says evaluation is necessary, that means the pressure is real. This defense cannot continue like this. Their numbers are bad. The tape is worse. Ownership sees it. Fans sees it. Players feel it. At some points, accountability has to exist. Why keeping Eberflus is more dangerous than firing him for the Dallas Cowboys? This is a question you may ask yourself. Some argue stability matters. That argument only works when stability produces results. Right now, stability is producing failure. Keeping Matt Eberflus sends a message that mediocrity is acceptable. Firing him sends a message that standards still matters in the Dallas. The locker room is at risk also in the Dallas Cowboys. Players knows when a coach is failing. They see it on film. They feel it on the Sundays. When players stop believing in a system, effort drops. That is when season collapses completely. The Cowboys are very dangerous close to that point. This defense has no identity for the Dallas Cowboys this season and also last season. Ask yourself one simple question. You have to ask your one simple question yourself. What is the Cowboys' defensive identity? As a Cowboys fans, you may ask that question. What is the Cowboys' defensive identity right now? Are they aggressive? Are they physical? Are they opportunistic? And the answer is one of both. This is unacceptable for the professional football team like American team. History will not be kind for the Cowboys. If this continues, this season will be remembered as a wasted offensive year. We are remaining only 2 games to end this season, but we are already eliminated from the playoffs. A historically bad defenses